right, back at it here at the Scarlet Faithful, coming to you on Thursday. A lot going on in the Ruckers world. Wanted to give an Olympic sports update at the end of this episode. Wanted to touch on some more thoughts from Ruckers men's basketball's season opening victory over Wagner on Wednesday night. Some programming notes I wanted to put out there. First off, we're going to have a preview for the Minnesota Rutgers football game on Friday, and that'll be out in the morning. Been talking a lot of hoops lately, so we'll get back to some football after the bye week. Also, just in terms of my post-game coverage from the Wagner game, I had a rapid reaction, as always, right after the game. The press conference with Steve Pikiell, Dylan Harper, Zach Martini, and Lathan Somerville on my YouTube channel, as well with the podcast, along with highlights of that 20-0 run that they put together, as well as about a minute and a half film breakdown that I did on Lathan Somerville's overall performance. It was more than just his scoring, the impact he had, and we could talk a little bit about that in this episode. But if you don't follow me on YouTube or subscribe to me on YouTube, you should, because pretty much after every game, I'll always have, in football as well, I always have press conferences. I typically have some type of highlight reel, and then depending, I'll have an analysis video also. So appreciate anyone and everyone that listens and watches and follows me. So just an FYI specific to my YouTube channel, also social media. I put the videos out typically on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram as well. So just wanted to touch on a few more things. I watched the second half of the game yesterday a second time after my rapid reaction. And the thing that really struck me that I wanted to touch on more was just Steve Pikiell in the preseason has really harped, and really the whole offseason, in terms of this is a really good passing team. And we really saw that in the second half against Wagner. And it was a combination of multiple players doing it. First off, Dylan Harper. I preached the importance of him becoming a true facilitator for this team. And what was interesting about that second half is that he didn't always have the ball in his hands. You know, Jermichael Davis had the ball in his hands. Jeremiah Williams had the ball in his hands. Jordan Durkak. But Harper, it was almost like, you know, they were running the offense through him, but off the ball. And he was making his vision in that second half. He made so many great passes. I mean, he could have had easily 7 to 8 assists. He finished with 4 in the second half. There was, you know, a couple of missed shots. There was a couple of fouls on great entry passes that he had. He was just delivering dimes left and right. There was that one Jeremiah Williams had the backdoor cut from the wing where he found him and finished. That was tremendous. He really did a good job of getting everyone involved in the offense, and Ruckers really clicked in that second half offensively. Much better flow, great ball movement, and he really led the charge there. And I think it's a great sign moving forward. You know, he didn't have any assists in the first half, but second half, you know, he continued to score, but he also really created opportunities for his teammates, put them in good positions. That's what I'm so excited about him with Ace Bailey, who obviously missed the game, listed as day-to-day. I think he's really going to help his shot selection. You hear everyone, and it's no surprise. You know, the one concern with Ace is just his shot decision-making in terms of where he's on the floor. And I think Dylan Harper is really going to help him take more high percentage shots. And you saw Rutgers add a transition really through their defense, which it looked like a Steve Pikiell coach team, but it looked like a team that could finish at the rim. You know, they were getting a ton of transition opportunities off of steals, off of, defensive stops, but they were finishing at the rim, 18 of 22 on layups and dunks combined. But they had 7 steals, 4 blocks. I forget how many turnovers Wagner finished with, but Rutgers, you know, with their size, they put great pressure on Wagner. You know, I didn't emphasize it enough, but obviously that 20-0 run, a big part of that was an 11-minute drought by Wagner. And they did take some bad shots, but what was interesting is that I thought Wagner ran some really good sets in the beginning of the game, and Rutgers just physically frustrated them where they just started forcing things. And I think that is a big part of how Rutgers defense can be successful this year, is just physically wear teams down, physically frustrate teams into bad shots, into bad decisions, into mistakes. And that's what this team did. I thought Dylan Harper, you know, he had 3 steals, and he jumped a pass. Part of what I talked about in Lathan Somerville's video was Somerville cut off the ball handler driving. The ball handler left his feet, and he was forced to make a pass back out to the perimeter, and Dylan Harper picked it off, ran it back for a layup, finished strong, And that's the type of thing that this team can be really exciting with. If they can get those defensive rotations down, I think Somerville showed a lot on the defensive end last night. Just his willingness, too, his willingness to bang on the glass, 8 rebounds, 8 defensive rebounds, his willingness to defend. It just gave them a whole nother element last night that was welcome, but also his ability to run the floor in transition. He, had a great finish on a spin move that he closed out on a 3-point shooter and was out and running. And I think it was Jermichael Davis who found him. He finished at the rim. That was in that middle of that 20-0 run. And in the second half, he ran the floor, and Jeremiah Williams was bringing it all the way down. And it's almost like he drew attention to 2 defenders and kind of almost set like a indirect pick where it created a driving lane for Jeremiah Williams, and he got to the rim and finished. So he's just so versatile as a big man. And not to mention, his ball handling skills, his passing ability, that amazing pass that he made to Durkak behind the back, no look. And I just wanted to go back. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I just think there's so many positives that we saw from this team, but the passing ability, not just Dylan Harper, Lathan Somerville with that pass. I thought Tyson Acuff made a tremendous pass, full-length court pass in transition to Dylan Harper. He almost just flicked his wrists, and it was like a perfect lead deep ball, in football, and set Dylan up in stride to convert at the rim. And it was just a really impressive play. So everyone was looking for each other. Jermichael Davis made several extra passes that led to open threes that hit Martini. You had Hayes that profited. I think someone else hit a 3 from a Davis pass. I know he was a willing facilitator. And that's what I loved about his game last night, and he had stretches of that last year. He had 0 turnovers, 5 assists. If he can play within the offense that way. But overall, this team, it's just a really good passing effort from this team. And he gets 17 assists and 28 buckets. That's close to 60%. If they average that, they'd be a top 20 team in the country in assist rate. So that was super encouraging because I thought that was an area they really needed to improve on from the St. John's scrimmage. A couple weeks ago, I guess 3 at this point. Jordan Durkak, one thing I didn't emphasize last night, he drew 7 fouls last night against Wagner, just in terms of him attacking the rim. I mean, his swag, the way he just, attacks on both ends of the floor, his toughness, and he shows no emotion. I mean, and that's really another takeaway from this team is this team is not going to wilt under pressure. They might lose because they're not executing well, because they're missing shots, but they're not going to go into an environment. And I think it's unique because they have no Big Ten experience. And maybe I'm pushing the cart before the horse a little bit until we see them in Big Ten play. But there's so many veterans that they brought in, and they just play with an edge, and they play with a poise. The experience that one lineup that Pikiell had that was so intriguing, with PJ Hayes, Zach Martini, Tyson Acuff, Jordan Durkak, and Jeremiah Williams. I mean, I think Jerry Carino tweeted it was like 20 plus years of college basketball experience in that rotation. And to have depth like that, aside from Ace and Dylan, is really, I think, going to help this team in the long run. And I think it's super encouraging. And I think you just saw some of that last night. They're going to keep coming. Doesn't mean they're going to play their best every night. Doesn't mean they're going to execute at a level they need to win certain games against certain opponents. They're going to, listen, Lathan Somerville isn't an all-star center yet, right? So he's going to struggle in Big Ten play sometimes. I mean, there's going to be some just bad matchups for Rutgers, I think, in the Big Ten at times. So they're going to have their ups and downs. But I think from a chemistry standpoint, from a role standpoint, from a mental toughness standpoint, from a physical, I mean, this team plays so hard. There's a lot to like about this team that I just think bodes well in the long run for the trajectory of this season. Overall, another thing I didn't touch on enough in the rapid reaction was Jermichael Davis's defense. Tremendous on-ball defense. Held Ezekaric at 2 points. Pikiell was really happy with him in the press conference, and that's why Jermichael Davis is going to play, because if he, like I said, if he can play smart on offense and not look to be a primary scorer, but be a primary facilitator and deliver the type of ball pressure that he can, and be able to get out in transition. He's going to be a valuable piece of this rotation. I thought that was really promising for this team. And overall, I mean, just the perimeter defense and the size that this team has, their ability to pressure, they were just very disruptive. And again, they, even though they had some breakdowns at times and they allowed some relatively easy shots at times, it's going to happen. But I think you're seeing signs of progress on the defensive end. And again, these kill shots, if they can deliver kill shots every game, 22-0 run against St. John's, a 20-0 run against Wagner. Are they going to deliver a 18-0 run against St. Peter's? We'll see. But that was just the fact that they can sustain defensive stops and repeat and just kind of stack defensive stops like that. You're not going to get key stops in the second half against Big Ten competition if you're not doing it early on in the season the way they're doing it right now. So really good sign there, and obviously when Ace Bailey does return, and again, I'm hearing it's not a long-term thing. I don't know if he'll play next game, but I don't think it's the type of thing where, we're going to be wondering for a long time. The rules are going to be different, and that was what the beauty of last night was everybody got a little bit more run. Everybody had the ball in their hands a little bit more than they will when Ace is there. And everybody came through. And it was a real confidence builder, I think, for this team as a whole. And, when you get less touches, to have a lot of confidence. And because, you might miss your first two shots. But PJ Hayes talked about this on the podcast last week. You just have to keep shooting. And I think, again, going back to the mental toughness of this team, I think that they can persevere in that type of situation. And overall, I mean, they just look like they were having fun together. This team looks like they enjoy each other. And let's be honest, we've seen some Ruckers teams in recent years where the pressure has been immense and they haven't looked like they've been having fun out there together. And of course, it's only early November. We'll see how this team manages the stress of the season, obviously with all the national attention on them with Ace and Dylan. But right now, they just look like they're in a really good headspace, and they just compete at a really high level. They practice really hard. They play really hard. And that really showed through, I thought, in this opening victory against Wagner, and plenty more to come. I'll have a game preview against St. Peter's. The game's Monday night, so I'll have that come out sometime Sunday after football. Again, I'll have a preview coming out on Friday for Rutgers, Minnesota. Obviously, a crucial game for Greg Schiano's program. Coming off the bye week, Minnesota red hot with a 4-game winning streak. But wanted to touch on some Olympic sports. Literally, as I'm recording this, Rutgers women's soccer is in the Big Ten semifinals. They were the 5 seed. They beat Michigan State in the first round. Ashley Barron, Gia Gurman, who've both been fantastic this year for Rutgers women's soccer, had goals. Riley Tiernan continues to create offense for this team, an all-timer in program history. And from an assist perspective, and now they're facing number 1 seed Southern Cal, who's number 4 in the country. Huge opportunity for Rutgers. I mean, I think they're in really good shape for the NCAA tournament. But if you beat Southern Cal, you have a shot to play for the Big Ten title, and you're pretty much guaranteed in the NCAA tournament. I still think they're in, but, it doesn't hurt, and obviously would improve seeding with a win. And it's pretty interesting because it's all Pac-12 teams that are in the semis except for Rutgers. So, again, Mike O'Neill, that program, they just win. The most successful program in Rutgers athletics over the last decade plus now. Men's soccer season's over. Not a great year for Jim McKeldry. They finished 6-9-2, 3-6-1 in conference play. But their last 2 games of the season, they beat Maryland on senior day 3-1, number 10 ranked Maryland. And then they beat Michigan State 1-0 on the road. But they did not qualify for the Big Ten tournament. Their season is over. Rutgers field hockey with a monster win. They beat Ohio State for the second time this year. Ohio State is number 7 in the country. And they advanced there. Just in terms of field hockey, they have now won 3 top 10 wins this year, which is incredible. 4th ranked win of the season. Now they are 8-8. Now they play number 1 Northwestern in the Big Ten semis on Friday. They need to win that to really help to be eligible for the NCAA tournament. And I think their metrics, their RPI was 17 coming into this game. If they can beat Northwestern, they're in. They're in. Even though the field hockey NCAA tournament's only 18 teams, I think they would have to be in at that point. So huge opportunity for them on Friday against Northwestern. Obviously, I'll update that after it happens. And then women's basketball opened the season on Monday. They had a 85-79 win over Manhattan. You had China Cornwall with a monster game. She's just been a great player for Rutgers over the years. 21 points, 15 rebounds. Destiny Adams, again, another solid performance. 14 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. You had 5-star recruit Kiyomi McMillan left early with an eye injury. But overall, they pulled it out, and they'll play once again on Thursday night against Cornell. So hopefully Rutgers women's basketball can get off to a big start. And I won't go into Rutgers volleyball, but they're struggling once again, 0-12 in Big Ten play. So a lot going on here at Rutgers athletics and Rutgers sports. Wrestling will start soon, but men's basketball tipping the season off in impressive fashion. And they'll play again Monday night. St. Peter's, Rutgers, Minnesota football coming up. I'll have a full preview Friday. Stick around again. Check out my YouTube. I have a video breakdown on Leith and Somerville. I have highlights on that 20-0 run, and also the press conference in the game. In addition to my rapid reaction, which you can get in all podcast platforms, please follow, like, subscribe. Really appreciate comments, anything. Get the word out. I really appreciate everyone's support, and just super psyched that Hoops is here. And you know what? If football can get a win this weekend, it just changes the trajectory of the season. It changes perception. It changes all of our moods. So never say never. Thanks so much for listening once again here at the Scarlet Faithful podcast.